Hello everyone from Bonnie Forfar today. Look at this. Snow absolutely everywhere and not a snow print to be found. And that's because it snowed yet again and has covered all the footprints that were there from yesterday. But isn't it bonny? I'm glad I'm not going out in that because it really is pretty deep. Look at the garage door. Yeah, that's not going to get opened anytime soon. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Well, if you're living in Forfar at this moment or the surrounding area, then you know what the snow is all about. It is blowing another blizzard as I record this today. You'll have seen the little clip I put on just before this about the lovely snow and the drifts in the snow as well. And of course, the snow was lying deep and crisp and even. Name that carol. Haha, I'm sure you got it. Good King Wenceslas. Anyway, that got me thinking. I mentioned in the film clip that it snowed again and that, yesterday we had the milkman's footprints in the snow. We had, who else was it? The postman. His footprints had walked up the driveway and to the door. And then also Billy had been out yesterday. So those were the footprints, and of course they were completely filled in again with the snow that had fallen. However, I've seen some very small footprints today, and they are of course little birds' footprints. Beautiful. And that then got me thinking about footprints, where we go in our life, the journeys we take. And then it reminded me, of course, of that poem, a well-loved poem by many people called Footprints in the Sand. So we're not really talking about footprints in the sand, but that would be nice, wouldn't it? But it's footprints in the snow. But I thought I would remind you of that poem that we all know so well, Footprints in the Sand. One night I dreamed I was walking along the beach with the Lord. Many scenes from my life flashed across the sky. In each scene, I noticed footprints in the sand. Sometimes there were two sets of footprints. Other times there was one set of footprints. This bothered me because I noticed that during the low periods of my life, when I was suffering from anguish, sorrow, or defeat, I could only see one set of footprints. So I said to the Lord, "You promised me, Lord, that if I followed you, you would walk with me always. But I've noticed that during the most trying periods of my life, there have only been one set of footprints in the sand. Why, when I needed you most, have you not been there for me?" The Lord replied, "The times when you have seen only one set of footprints in the sand is when I carried you." And of course, that was written by Mary Stevenson, 1922 to 1999. So footprints in the sand, and as I said today, footprints in the snow. But it got me wondering. In fact, it was one of my colleagues on Facebook, my Facebook's on my phone. The ministers have a closed Facebook page, like a ministers forum. And one of my colleagues put up on the Facebook, "Why is snow white?" Now, I can't say I've ever thought about that before. I must admit, it's never crossed my head. Ice is sort of a white, clear, opaque. Yeah, but why is snow white? I have no idea. So you've got to remember, most ministers have had a career before they enter the ministry. So very kindly, one of our other colleagues has replied to her question as to why snow is white. So here it goes. When all the colours of the spectrum are reflected from translucent snow, it is white. As light containing all colours strikes snow crystals, it is reflected between molecules of water ice, but emerges in the same proportion as before and is seen as white. If some wavelengths of light, that's all colours, have been absorbed by the ice, we would see quite different colours. For example, if snow absorbed blue light, we would see yellow snow. And we all know to be careful of that. Now, that was his answer as to why snow is white. He was a science teacher before he became a minister, granted. And my other colleague who asked the question, she says, that's impressive. She says, but you've lost me. And I must admit, I'm a wee bit lost in there as well myself. So it's all about the reflection of the actual spectrum of colours. And anyway, I've always known snow to be white, and I'm quite happy that snow is white. And as I said, it looks wonderful, but to be out there in it, especially today with the snow whirling around and the deep, deep snow, as I said, it is deep here in Forfar at this time. So I hope you enjoyed that reflection on how, as to why, snow is white. But in that poem Footprints, it was talking about relying on God. So tell me this, when do you rely on God the most? Have a think about that. It should come relatively easily to you. So when do you rely on God the most? Well, I would say for most people, it's when you're going through some bad times, some rough times, when things aren't quite going your way and you're worried about something. I would think most of us would agree that's the time that we rely on God the most. And we can speak to him, we can argue with him and cajole and plead. But I think that is really when we rely on God the most, when things aren't going so well. It depends what those things are in life that aren't going well. And there are so many things in life that can't go well. It could be relationships. It could be working life. It could be financial. But the biggest one, I think, is probably health. When things aren't going well with our life in health, that's when we tend to rely on God an awful lot more. So tell me this, there's the next question for you. When do you rely on God the least? Okay, so when do you sometimes forget to rely on God or even know that he's there? Well, again, I think most people, and I'm not saying all people, but most people would agree it's during the good times. When things are going well, when we're happy and everything's going exactly the way we wanted, our plans are working out, we're feeling good, we're feeling fit, money in the bank, we're going on holidays, whatever the good times of life are. I think we tend to forget about God sometimes in these instances and forget to rely on him for all of that. Do you rely on God when you want things to go well? The immediate one that jumps to my mind with that question would be maybe on the birth of a baby. You know, I think we rely on God to bring the baby safely into this world and to keep the mum safe as well. That's just one that jumps to mind. And it could be because I think I've mentioned before, my niece is expecting her first baby, and I'm relying on God to get her safely through this and to bring this lovely baby girl, we know it's going to be a girl, baby girl, into this world. So, you know, there's things that we really rely on for things to go well. A classic one, isn't it, is if you're having a summer fete outside, a summer fair in your grounds or whatever, or it's a wedding, and you're saying, oh, please God, let it be a good day. That's certainly one that we use a lot in Scotland. But throughout of all of this, you know, we rely on God. But we talk to God in various ways. We can just chat as though he's sitting next to you. We can chat as though he's on the telephone with us, whatever way you prefer. But have you, if you haven't had your vaccine yet, or when you were waiting for your vaccine, did you rely on God and did you pray to him, asking for your date to come sooner and that things would go well with that vaccine? But on the flip side of that, have you thanked God? The fact that you relied on him for this vaccine to come, for it to work, have you thanked God yet for receiving your vaccine? Or have you taken it for granted? Some of us may forget to speak to God or to rely on him, but we need to do it for everything in our life. For the good things, it's going through the bad things, just the everyday run of life. We have to rely on God. And as that poem quite clearly states, we may forget that God is there with us, but God never, ever forgets us. And he is always carrying us at any given time in our life and is always, always beside us. Every day, every hour, every minute, every second. God is with us all. I hope you have a lovely week ahead, and that if you're struggling in the snow, well, don't forget to phone and ask for help of someone who is maybe a bit fitter and more able to get out and about. Have a lovely week ahead. God bless everyone.